So when we left off, my life was in ruins. Administrative leave from work, the state bar investigating me, criminal charges looming, my best friend Derek ghosting me after throwing me under the bus, and a hearing in 30 days that could determine whether I'd have a criminal record. But here's the thing about hitting rock bottom. You either stay there or you start digging for the truth. Rachel and Michael, my attorney, weren't giving up on me. And neither was I. Rachel cleared out her dining room and turned it into a war room. Documents covered every surface, timelines on the walls, laptop open with email threads. Michael brought his paralegal, Sophie, a sharp woman in her 50s who'd worked bar cases for 20 years. "All right," Michael said, spreading out the bank's complaint. "Let's go through this piece by piece. Every claim they're making, every piece of evidence. We need to find the holes." Sophie pulled up Derek's email to the bank. "My attorney, Jake Morrison, has reviewed the loan agreement. This is the smoking gun," she said. "If we can prove Derek wrote this without your knowledge or consent, we can show you're a victim, not a co-conspirator." "How do we prove that?" I asked. Rachel leaned forward. "We need Derek's communications, all of them. Emails, texts, phone records. If he told anyone else you were his lawyer or if he planned this, there'll be evidence." Michael nodded. "We're filing a motion to compel Derek to produce all communications related to the loan and to you. Bank records, emails, texts, everything." "Will he fight it?" "Probably, but if he does, it makes him look guilty. Either way, we're getting those records." While Michael worked on the legal motions, Rachel turned to me. "Jake, we need to document every interaction you've ever had about legal issues. Everyone you helped, what you said, what you didn't say." I spent 3 days making a list. Marcus, landlord issue. Sarah from quality control, car repossession question. Tommy, small claims court info. At least 15 other people who'd asked casual questions. For each one I wrote down what they asked, what I told them, whether I made it clear I wasn't a lawyer, whether they paid me anything they hadn't except those thank you gifts. Sophie interviewed each person. Most were supportive. Marcus, Jake always said, "I'm not a lawyer, but from what my sister tells me, he was just being helpful." Sarah, he pointed me to free legal aid resources, never charged me anything. But a few weren't helpful. Tommy, when asked if I'd claimed to be a lawyer, well, he never said he wasn't one, and he seemed to know a lot. That terrified me. Michael got the bank's full evidence packet. It was worse than I thought. They had 1. The demand letter I wrote, professional formatting, legal citations, formal language. It looked like it came from a law office. 2. A second letter I didn't know about. Derek had sent a follow-up letter 2 weeks after mine, also signed Jake Morrison, on behalf of Derek Chen. "I never wrote that letter." "He forged this," I said, staring at it. Michael examined it. "The signature doesn't match yours exactly. We can prove forgery with a handwriting expert." 3 phone call records the bank claimed Jake Morrison's office had called them twice to discuss the case. "I never called them. I don't have an office." "Derek must have called pretending to be you or your office," Rachel said. 4. A fee agreement, a document stating I would represent Derek for a $500 flat fee. I'd never seen it before in my life. My signature was on it. Forged. This changed everything. "This isn't just UPL anymore," Michael said. "Derek committed fraud. He forged your signature on legal documents, impersonated you to the bank, and fabricated a fee agreement." "So I'm off the hook?" "Not entirely. You still wrote that first letter, but this proves Derek escalated it without your knowledge and used your identity fraudulently." Sophie was already on her laptop. "We need to file a police report for identity theft and forgery. Get this on record." I filed a report that afternoon. The detective who took it was skeptical at first. So your friend used your name. He forged my signature on legal documents and impersonated me to a bank. The detective's demeanor changed. That's identity fraud, financial fraud, possibly wire fraud if he used email or phone. This is serious. He opened an investigation. 2 days later, Derek's lawyer called Michael. My client wants to meet, discuss a resolution. Michael was immediately suspicious. Why now? He's concerned about the criminal investigation. He wants to clear things up. We met at a neutral location, a conference room at a mediator's office. Derek walked in looking terrible, unshaven, tired, scared. He wouldn't meet my eyes. His lawyer, a sleazy-looking guy named Patterson, started talking. My client wants to make it clear that there was a misunderstanding. He never intended to misrepresent Mr. Morrison as an attorney. Then why did he? Michael asked coolly. He was under extreme financial stress. The bank was threatening foreclosure on his business assets. He panicked. So he committed fraud. Patterson shifted. That's a strong word. Michael slid the forged documents across the table. Your client forged my client's signature, twice. He impersonated him to a financial institution. He fabricated a fee agreement. Those aren't misunderstandings. Those are crimes. Derek finally looked up. Jake, I'm sorry. I didn't know it would go this far. I stared at him. You told the bank I was your lawyer. You forged my signature. You let me get investigated by the bar while you saved your own ass. I was scared. So was I. I'm facing criminal charges because of you. Patterson held up a hand. Gentlemen, let's focus on resolution. My client is willing to provide a sworn statement that Mr. Morrison never claimed to be an attorney and that the forgeries were done without his knowledge. In exchange for what? Rachiel asked. We'd ask that Mr. Morrison not pursue criminal charges against my client. Michael, Rachiel, and I huddled outside. What do you think? I asked. Michael was blunt. His statement would help your case significantly. The bar would almost certainly drop the UPL investigation if it's clear you were a victim of fraud. But Derek walks. Potentially, though the bank and the DA might still pursue charges independently. Rachiel put her hand on my shoulder. Jake, I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But we need to think strategically. Your future is what matters here. I looked through the glass at Derek, sitting there looking miserable. Part of me wanted to destroy him, watch him face every consequence. But another part of me just wanted this nightmare to end. If I agree, what happens to me? Michael ticked off his fingers. With Derek's statement, we can show the bar you were defrauded. We can argue for dismissal of the UPL complaint. The criminal charges would likely be dropped. The bank might drop their civil suit against you once they realize Derek defrauded them, not you. And Derek, the DA is already investigating him for the loan fraud. The bank will probably sue him. He's not getting away clean. I thought about it. I want more than just a statement. We went back in. Here's what I want, I said, looking directly at Derek. A full sworn affidavit detailing everything you did, every forged signature, every lie you told, every time you used my name. Dates, times, details. Patterson started to object, but Derek held up his hand. Okay. Second, you pay for my legal fees, all of them. Michael's fees, the handwriting expert, everything. Jake, I don't have. Figure it out, sell something, get a loan, I don't care. You put me in this position, you pay to get me out. Derek looked at his lawyer, who nodded reluctantly. Third, you make a public statement to the bank, to the bar, to anyone who asks, that I never claimed to be a lawyer and that you defrauded me. That'll make me look like the criminal you are, Yeah, that's the point. Silence. Finally, Derek nodded. Fine, I'll do it. Patterson drew up an agreement. We all signed it. As Derek was leaving, he stopped. Jake, for what it's worth, I really am sorry. I was drowning and I grabbed onto you to stay afloat. That was wrong. I didn't respond. He left. Rachel squeezed my shoulder. You did the right thing. Did I? He's getting away with destroying my life. No, Michael said. He's facing fraud charges, a lawsuit from the bank, financial ruin, and everyone knowing he's a liar. You're getting your life back. That's the win. Derek's affidavit came 3 days later. It was damning for him. He detailed everything. How he'd asked me to review his loan documents as a friend. How I'd helped him draft the initial letter with clear disclaimers that I wasn't a lawyer. How he'd then told the bank I was his attorney without my knowledge. How he'd forged my signature on the second letter and the fee agreement. How he'd called the bank pretending to be my office. How he'd panicked when the bank pushed back and fabricated evidence to make it look like I'd been representing him professionally. He also admitted that the loan fraud allegations were true. He had misrepresented his income on the application. Michael filed it with the bar immediately, along with our motion to dismiss the UPL complaint. We also sent it to the DA's office handling my case. The bar hearing was scheduled for the following week. I was terrified. Michael prepped me for hours. They're going to ask why you wrote the letter. Be honest. You were helping a friend. You didn't charge a fee. You told him to see a real lawyer. What if they don't believe me? That's why we have Derek's affidavit, and the forgery evidence, and witness statements from everyone else you helped who'll say you never claimed to be a lawyer. The hearing room was intimidating. Panel of 3 attorneys, a court reporter, formal proceedings. The bar's attorney presented their case first. Mr. Morrison engaged in the unauthorized practice of law by drafting a legal demand letter, citing federal regulations, and negotiating with a financial institution on behalf of another party. Then it was our turn. Michael presented Derek's affidavit. Mr. Morrison was the victim of fraud. He provided friendly advice, clearly disclaimed being an attorney, and was then impersonated by Mr. Chen, who forged documents and misrepresented Mr. Morrison's role. The panel asked me questions. Mr. Morrison, did you understand that drafting a demand letter for someone else could constitute practicing law? No, ma'am. I thought I was just helping a friend write a letter, like helping someone with their resume. Did you research legal statutes for this letter? Yes, but I researched lots of things. I researched car engines when my friend asked about a weird noise. That doesn't make me a mechanic. One panelist cracked a small smile. Another asked, why didn't you tell Mr. Chen to hire an attorney? I did, multiple times. I told him the letter was a draft and to have a lawyer review it. Michael submitted my text messages, with Derek proving this. The panel deliberated for 30 minutes. The lead panelist spoke. Mr. Morrison, this committee finds that while you exercised poor judgment in drafting a legal document for another party, you did so without intent to practice law and were subsequently defrauded by Mr. Chen. My heart pounded. However, we want to be clear. Giving legal advice, drafting legal documents, and representing others in legal matters, even informally, constitutes the unauthorized practice of law. Ignorance of this fact is not an excuse. We are issuing a formal warning. This will remain on file. Should you ever engage in similar conduct, you will face the full penalties for UPL. But we are not pursuing disciplinary action at this time, given the circumstances. This matter is dismissed. I nearly collapsed with relief. The criminal case took longer. The DA's office reviewed Derek's affidavit, the forgery evidence, and the bar's decision. 2 weeks later, Michael got a call. They're dropping the charges against you. They're focusing on Derek instead. The bank also dropped their civil suit against me after realizing I'd been defrauded. They were going after Derek with everything they had. I went back to work. HR cleared me after reviewing the bar's decision. My boss, Tom, called me into his office. "Jake, I'm sorry for how this went down. We should have supported you more." "Thanks, Tom. But going forward, if anyone asks you for legal advice, send them to HR. We can connect them with our legal benefits program." Trust me, I've learned my lesson. My coworkers were awkward at first, but things normalized quickly. Marcus apologized for his testimony. "I thought I was helping you, man. I know it's okay." Emma's family came around once they understood what happened. My parents were relieved. Rachel was proud. "You handled this with more grace than I would have." Derek wasn't as lucky. The bank sued him for loan fraud. The DA charged him with identity theft felony, forgery felony, wire fraud federal for the emails, making false statements to a financial institution felony. His business collapsed. He couldn't make the loan payments without the fraudulent terms he'd negotiated. He lost his house. His wife left him. Last I heard, he took a plea deal. 3 years probation, restitution to the bank, community service, and a felony record. He tried to reach out to me once. A text, "I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know I never wanted this to happen to you." I didn't respond. I blocked his number. I'd survived. The charges were dropped, the bar complaint dismissed, my job secure. But I'd learned something important. Helping people is good, but there are boundaries. And crossing those boundaries, even with good intentions, can destroy your life.